Good evening. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and affiliated with Fans Only Sports Network. I'm Adam Wright along with Justin Tucker. CJ is out tonight, but in for him is our newest guest and member of our show, Justin Hill. Justin, how about you introduce yourself to the people?
Thanks, Adam. My name is Justin Hill, as what Adam said. I'm a sports broadcasting major at Dean College from the Bronx, New York, and I'm a New York Giants fan. But great to be on the show, gentlemen.
Pleasure.
Absolutely. Justin is a great sports mind and a great kid. I'm so excited to have him on the team. We have several classes together. We've had plenty of classes together over the past couple of semesters. Tucker knows him very well. The only problem is we have now not one now, but two Justins on our team. So we're gonna have to figure out different names for you guys because I can't call you both Justin.
Don't worry, I'll fix that.
Maybe we could go with Justin Hill. We'll go with Jay Hill. Tucker. We'll go with Tuck. I mean, I call you Tuck outside the school and outside of our podcast. And Big Justin. Okay, whatever. That'll work. But anyways, we do have a show planned, so we will get to that. So we will continue our Super Bowl coverage. We will talk about the head coaching positions that were all filled. We have the fan box as always, but first, let's talk about a Pro Bowl that has once again gotten underwhelming ratings, to say the least. So the AFC won the Pro Bowl over the NFC by a final of 41-35, but once again got kind of poor ratings, like I said. We had older retired players such as Deion Sanders commenting on the lack of effort by the players, by the players. And then you had current players such as Darius Slay defending their case, saying that, they play a month after. There's some players who are playing a month after the season is over. And, they're still recovering from a long season. Football's tough. So with both of these points in mind, so what do you guys think the NFL needs to do to sort of fix the Pro Bowl, if you will?
Jay Hill can go first.
Thanks, Justin. Regarding with the Pro Bowl, Adam, it's a really sad case. And I say this because you have a lot of all-star games, such as in Major League Baseball, basketball. But regarding football, that's what people really want to see, especially Americans. And to see on the biggest stage in Las Vegas, in a new arena in Vegas, and to just see like two hand touches in the football game, and also that's like some flag football stuff. But the one play that came to my mind was when they tried to stop Alvin Kamara and he did like a two-hand touch. Like, that's not football. Like, what happened to the Pro Bowl when Sean Taylor almost took a guy's head off in the game? Like, what happened to that? Like, back in 2005, what happened to like highly anticipated Pro Bowls, like what Deion Sanders said? Like, it's like people are paying their money to see a football game, but they're not getting the entertainment that we want to see, basically.
Yeah, I agree with you on that occasion. I think the Pro Bowl has gotten to the point where it's not necessarily fun for the fans to watch, and I don't think it's necessarily fun for the players to play in. I think they do it just to have like a semi-vacation and not necessarily to try to win a football game. I don't know what the league can necessarily do to change this, because the Pro Bowl is like this annual thing and they don't want to get rid of it as far as I'm aware of. So it's just a tough spot to be in for both the players and the NFL as a whole. So hopefully they can come up with a situation where it can make it more competitive and make it more of football that we know and love, instead of the two-hand touch nonsense that is going on right now. But I don't see an easy solution to this in the short term nor in the long term right now.
It really is. And I say it's because, and I definitely agree on you, Justin, it's like, I feel like with the NFL, they get all these star players. For example, like you had the whole Chiefs squad there: Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. And regarding with the Buccaneers, you had Devin White, Vita Vea, and all these other guys. Like, you get all these star players to come and fans pay a lot of money for this and they don't get nothing. Like in my opinion, regarding with this format, instead of having a Pro Bowl, how about you make the worst 2 teams in the league go face off, and whoever wins, for an example, have that whoever wins the game, they get the number 1 seed, and the loser gets the 10th seed. That's a highly anticipated, like that's an idea right there. But if you're gonna do games like this, like 2-hand touch, like just don't even have the event.
Adam.
So this is something that is really hard to address, like I said, and it's going to be tough because as Darius Slay said, they play. This is the only All-Star game that is played after the season, and a lot of these players played in a month, and they're still recovering from injuries, and some players just don't want to get injured. That's a completely valid point, especially since this is football where injuries happen so often, as opposed to baseball or basketball where it doesn't happen quite as often. So there's a few things that we can consider. Maybe restructuring the regular season so there's almost like an all-star break, if you will, where you have, let's say, a 2-3 week break, and in between you have the Pro Bowl, something like that. I mean, the Pro Bowl is already the selections are already made 3/4 into the season, so they might as well just do it during the season, even though I disagree with it. The reason that's because that's the whole reason why Tom Brady was snubbed last year of a Pro Bowl appearance, and it was given to Kyler Murray instead, which was not deserving. But that brings other things into consideration, like what happens with bye weeks when these players in the middle of the season get 3 weeks off. There's a lot of things to take into consideration, and also, like how are they going to structure the season now? Is the Super Bowl going to happen in like late February to March? If this is going to happen, so like, or does it start during like the summer? So I don't know. Another part of me is thinking, what if they just took out the Pro Bowl entirely and just sort of said, you know what, let's just do skills competitions. People like those. They got pretty creative with it at times. Like, for example, there was a kick-tac-toe years back. That looked fun. We could do something like that. But I mean, the way they're doing it is just not working. They'll have to figure something out soon. But
I agree. But it's just an unfortunate situation at hand. I don't think they'll just do it for just the skills competition because it leads up to the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl is supposed to be the final product, but hopefully they get something situated.
Indeed. It's like with the Pro Bowl, it's like the co-main event before the main event the next week before the Super Bowl. It's like you want to see a great game before the biggest game that the world's going to watch. But I definitely agree with you guys.
All right. Well, coming up next, so everybody knows how this is the second straight Super Bowl where a new team is where it's going to be a home Super Bowl, basically, where the stadium is going to be the team playing. But what if I told you this is a second straight Super Bowl of something else happening? We'll get into that a little bit next. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88. I'm Adam Wright, Justin Tucker, and Justin Hill. So we're talking a little bit about the Super Bowl now. And so I just had a little bit of a thought. If Matthew Stafford and the Rams win a Super Bowl in Stafford's first year, it will be not only the second straight home Super Bowl winner, it'll also be the second straight winner where a newly acquired quarterback, wins a Super Bowl. Brady in the Bucs did it last year. So, we're already seeing heavy rumors in recent years and this offseason of franchise quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, and possibly now Kyler Murray after he unfollowed the Cardinals on social media. But we're seeing all of these players rumored to want out, and these are like franchise quarterbacks. It's not like these are just, journeymen. So, so does Brady and Stafford winning Super Bowls sort of, does this impact the quarterback market for years to come?
I think this could potentially impact the Super Bowl market. I think both of them went about it different ways. Stafford got traded into the situation he's in. Brady left towards the situation he had in. I think there's differences between the two, but if a quarterback feels like he can get into a better position by leaving the team he's at to go win a Super Bowl, I don't think it's necessarily new. It's just a different way of doing it now instead of just demanding it. It just so happens Brady's contract ran out and he went to the team that gave him the best chance to win. And Stafford got traded to a team with already a huge amount of talent, and that's how they got into the position they were in. The Rams believed they needed a new quarterback, and therefore they got Stafford, one of the most talented quarterbacks out there. I believe with the quarterback market the way it is, I believe other teams will have that same chance. I believe Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, and maybe even Russell Wilson will look at that and say, maybe it's about time I move to another team and try to see if I can win one there.
I definitely agree with this shift. And I say it's because, as a football fan myself, we've seen quarterbacks in the last 2 years, like what you said, Adam. We've seen Tom Brady go to Tampa, win a Super Bowl. Now we see Matthew Stafford, who now has 4 quarters and 60 minutes away of winning his first Super Bowl. And at the same time, it's up to teams and owners if they really want to go all the way and get a quarterback. You look at the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers went all out to get that Super Bowl just for Brady to get his 7th. Why? They needed Antonio Brown when they really needed a receiver at the time. You look at the Rams. The Rams really needed a receiver at the time, and they wound up getting Odell Beckham Jr. And then when you see this pattern here, it's just to get to the big game. But at the same time, we could definitely see this for years to come, and especially with the rumor market going on right now. Where's Russell Wilson going to go? Where's Aaron Rodgers going to go? And you're hearing about Kyler Murray, which I think Kyler Murray is going to stay with the Arizona Cardinals. But at the same time, it definitely is a pattern.
So this is going to be big because not only do I think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl, but I think this is going to cause all of these players who I mentioned, Aaron Rodgers, who I already think is out regardless of the outcome of this game. He's gonna say, you know what, I can win somewhere else. And you have Deshaun Watson, who's gonna do the same thing. Russell Wilson, I bet he's out. And I bet Kyler Murray's gonna stay now. I think what he's doing is just some petty stuff. He's just saying, I want to be paid, so I'm just gonna unfollow you guys. And that's a whole different story with Kyler Murray, which is kind of weird. Especially since the Cardinals are really trying to do what they can to sort of surround Kyler Murray with all this talent, and he goes and does that. But this is going to, and it's going to open the door for other players as well to possibly think maybe I should get out of here. You're going to get the Josh Allens of the world, possibly even the Patrick Mahomeses of the world, who are going to say, like, maybe later down the road, these teams sort of get depleted, and maybe they're financially they have the teams have a tight budget, and they can't win for a little while. And Patrick Mahomes says, well, I kind of want to go over here on, let's say, a few years down the road. Let's say, name the bum team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have been missing the playoffs for a few years in a row, but they have other talent, and if they're a quarterback away, you have that. Patrick Mahomes is going to say, I'm just going to go over there and play there, or Josh Allen's going to say, I'm going to go over here and play here, and this team's a quarterback away. It'll be kind of like the NFL, and like the NFL. It'll be like the NBA where, players, they just get impatient with their situation on that team, and they're just going to say, I want to go somewhere else. Because quarterbacks, let's face it, this is a quarterback-driven league. Quarterbacks, they're starting to realize how much leverage they have, and I bet after this Super Bowl, things are going to get out of hand.
Oh, no question, Adam, because it's like what you said, and it's like with the NFL. People say there's a salary cap. In my opinion, there's no salary cap in the league, depending on what the owner's going to spend. But at the same time, it's like what you're saying before with the QB market. It's up to the QBs to decide which team they want to go to. Aaron Rodgers has his point to demand a trade anytime he wants to, including Russell Wilson. They have served their duties for the last 10 plus years for their organizations, and they have the absolute right to request something and go to a capable team to help provide a championship experience. And look at Matthew Stafford, sorry for calling Matt. He was in a tight situation in Detroit. And a fun fact the other day, I think Adam told me this. Matt Stafford has only been to maybe 3 or 2 playoff games in his career, I think it is. And I used to always say he went to 0, but in that time he lost in wildcard games. He never went to a divisional game. And for him to show his showcase against
he never won a playoff game.
Never won a playoff game. And he was able to show his showcase against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, including the San Francisco 49ers, and get to the Super Bowl. That shows what a player is when they've wasted their time with a franchise that has not done nothing for them. But regarding with the situation here, this will bring leverage to the quarterback world and maybe including the receiving world. You never know.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be the quarterback market, to be honest. I would love to think that other players in other positions would be able to sort of have the leverage that the quarterbacks do at this point, but I just don't see it because any other position, they just don't last that long in the league. You know, especially running backs. I mean, they age like milk at this point. You know, they just don't last. They'll last like 4 or 5 seasons, and that's bad. And wide receivers are kind of the same way. And they, like any other position, really doesn't have the same impact on a team like the quarterback does. You know, if you have a great quarterback, then you can really sort of fade out a lot of other weaknesses. You can make up for a lot of other weaknesses. If you have an elite wide receiver, I mean, you're not going to do much. You can still be a really crappy team and have an elite wide receiver. That is possible. But a quarterback, that's pretty hard to do.
I don't think it's hard to do. I mean, look at Detroit. They had Matthew Stafford for years and they were crappy. There's been a myriad of situations where there's been a quarterback that we all believe is elite, but never had the right chance to showcase his skills because he was just on a bad team. I think the quarterback market is different than everybody else's. I think they have more leeway. I don't think they'll have a dramatic amount of leeway to be able to demand where they want to go. Because at the end of the day, the franchise they play for still have to decide whether or not they want to trade them. We all see what is going on with the Houston Texans and Deshaun Watson situation. So I don't think it's just as easy as them wanting to leave. I think it's them wanting to leave in the franchise allowing them to leave.
I disagree. I think, Matthew Stafford is a rare case where, like I said, it's hard to do to be that bad for that long with a quarterback like Matthew Stafford. And they just weren't able to surround him with talent for the longest time. It more speaks to the incompetence of that organization rather than, Matthew Stafford not being able to do anything. They did have Calvin Johnson for a little while, but they did have with him on the team. I believe they had 2-3 playoff appearances. They weren't able to do anything in that time, but they were still able to get there, which is big. But you have the best receiver in the game, and they still weren't able to win any playoff games. So, anyways. Up next, we're going to get more in depth of the Super Bowl, talk about some keys to the game and to the outcome of the game, and we'll probably give some predictions as well. So don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss that. This is the Fumblerooski podcast. This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88. I'm Adam Wright with Justin Tucker and now Justin Hill. Justin, welcome to the show. So the Super Bowl is coming up. We're just a few days away from Super Bowl 56 between the Cincinnati Bengals the Los Angeles Rams. It's one of those Super Bowls where neither team is really hated per se by the mass of the population of the United States, besides Ravens fans, right, Justin?
Can't stand their ass, but all right.
Yeah, but it is hard to hate both teams. Taking out your team bias, it is hard to hate both teams. But I do want to get into some of the the keys to this game, and I did jot down a few things while looking into this game, and I have a couple of things. Starting with, what do you guys think about the Bengals' offensive line in this game?
Lunch meat. Yes, sir. Lunch meat. Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, Troy Reader. They're coming after that quarterback, and that line can't stop him. I'm for it. I'm all for it. I need Aaron Donald to have like 5 or 6 sacks, get arrested for assault. I need Von Miller to have 4 sacks. I need one of them to win Super Bowl MVP. That's all I ask.
One of them to win Super Bowl MVP. Okay.
With the Rams defense, let's not be biased here. The Rams, they probably have the best defense that I've seen in the last maybe 2 years. But with Cincinnati, they have to throw that ball real quickly. Like Joe Burrow needs to throw that ball quickly. He needs to run down the field real quickly what he did in that AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. There's a lot of people saying they don't deserve to be there. But at the end of the day, you get to where you get. But in this ball game in particular, I have the Bengals winning as an upset. Why? Because Joe Burrow, he's just a confident person. I haven't seen he's like a confident person. Like the way he speaks. Like I was just watching his
way he dresses too.
It's not just that he's just a confident person. Like I used to always think I
love those sunglasses.
He may be like a little bit cocky, but like he's just a confident person. He's like humble to be there. He's like humble to be in the moment. Like you never know. It may be your last time in the Super Bowl, but in the moment, you have to just love the presence of mind of him. Like he's at the same time with this game. But if the Rams want to win this game, Jalen Ramsey needs to step up. Why? Because in the Buccaneers game, Mike Evans is burning him out the whole game. Like, aren't you supposed to be the best corner in the game? You get burnt down that. Yeah, and where was you at in the NFC Championship game guarding Deebo Samuel? Like Deebo Samuel, had a touchdown. He was playing. It felt like he was playing quarterback at the same time. But regarding with this game, if you're Jalen Ramsey, you have fought your way to be in this particular moment. You've dealt with the scrutiny in Jacksonville, and now you're in this big moment. Like, you need to guard up. And with Jamar Chase, I understand he's a rookie at the same time, but he's a bad man. And I'm telling you, I expect the Bengals to win this ball game. I really do.
All right. So I listed the Bengals offensive line first, specifically because I think that's going to be what's going to kill them ultimately in this game. Now, I know I picked against them every single game this season. This postseason, and I had them losing. I've had them losing every game this postseason, and going into this sort of 2-week period, I was saying, I'm a little uncomfortable picking against the Bengals now because I've been picking against them all season long because I just didn't have any confidence in that offensive line. And to be honest, I thought they got lucky to get out of the Tennessee Titans game because he was sacked 9 times, and the only reason they won that game was because Ryan Tannehill threw 3 picks, and that's sort of what killed the Titans in that game. If not for that, we would probably be seeing the Tennessee Titans in the title game, and who knows who wins that game at that point. Maybe we have the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But especially when you have that Rams pass rush, which is second on my list, that Rams pass rush led by Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, against that Bengals offensive line, that is one of the great mismatches in Super Bowl history, and we're going to see that this Sunday, and it's going to be scary. I really hope that Joe Burrow comes out of that game alive, let alone comes out of that game with a victory. Now, I know he's come out alive in these past few weeks and has proven me wrong, but I just don't. They're an underdog. They're an underdog, and I'll root for them because they're the underdog. Everybody loves an underdog. It's not like I'm rooting against them. I'm just picking against them.
I'm rooting and picking against them.
Because you're a Bengals fan. I'm sorry.
You're a Ravens fan. Watch your mouth.
What are you talking about? Your favorite team's in the Super Bowl. Bengals. Who dey? Who dey?
Nobody's. That's who they are.
But anyways, another, there's a couple other keys to this game. Like, for example, and I just don't find them as relevant to the game as, the Bengals offensive line versus the Rams pass rush. That's huge. But, Rams defensive backs versus the Bengals wide receivers, that hasn't been talked about a lot. You have Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams going up against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And don't forget about Tyler Boyd and CJ Uzama. But that's a pretty big matchup if the Bengals are able to overcome that Rams pass rush on the offensive line. Then on top of that, you have Cooper Kupp to deal with. Who's going to cover Cooper Kupp? We're going to put Eli Apple on Cooper Kupp?
Burnt toast. Yes. Put him on him. I need 3 touchdowns from him if that's the case. I need 3 touchdowns and over 200 yards from Cooper Kupp if that's the case.
Hey, Eli Apple, he was handling Tyreek Hill in that game. Besides that one touchdown Tyreek Hill had on him, but you have a fair point.
Y'all need to stop. Y'all really need to stop with that Eli Apple nonsense. That man is burnt toast in coverage.
I can't believe that guy was a Giant.
I love the way he talks too. Like it just feels like he should have absolutely no, he should have no credibility to speak because they're winning in spite of him. But he just continues to. I don't know. If he gets a ring, he gets a ring. I guess he deserves it.
He doesn't deserve that damn ring. He doesn't deserve it.
You got to admit that was a good play that he made when they stopped him before halftime in the AFC Championship game. When they stopped the Chiefs, that was a pretty good play. You have to admit that.
It was a good play.
They were at the goal line. He throws a screen pass to Tyreek Hill, who is one of the most shifty quick players in the league, and he was able to stop him. That was pretty impressive. You got to admit that.
It was nice, but it was a terrible play. Why are you throwing it short? Throw it to the end zone. If not, kick the field goal.
Yeah, they probably should have, but they probably thought they had more confidence in themselves with a 21. It was a 21-11 game going into the halftime, and they were at the goal line. They wanted to step on their throats at that point. You're at the goal line, and Patrick Mahomes throws a screen pass to Tyreek Hill, and he tries to go into the end zone. I bet 9 times out of 10, Tyreek Hill makes that play because he's so quick and explosive, and you have him on Eli Apple. How do you not go for that? And then it was just Eli making a great play. That was just incredible.
Next, done talking about that scrub. Let's go.
One more.
All right. So how about the turnover battle?
Oh yeah.
That can
Justin, I believe you said you had something to say.
Yeah. Before the turnover battle, this game here. It's like a Joe Namath Jets and Colts game. Like you got like the underdog versus the best team at the same time. But with this game here, if the Bengals win, I'll be absolutely shocked because in my opinion, my picks to go all the way this year, I had the Buccaneers going all the way. I had the Buccaneers versus the Tennessee Titans. I never thought the Bengals would be this far. But at the same time, this is like a anticipated game because it's like, I'm not saying careers on the line, but like it's like who's going to be the future of the NFL. Is it either going to be the Rams or is it going to be the Bengals? Well, I can't say that. Well, at the same time, the Bengals, they're like underdogs. At the same time, like this is like a winner-go situation for the Rams. Because how with the Rams, you traded Matthew Stafford, you got Von Miller, you got Odell Beckham Jr., you have Aaron Donald, you have Jalen Rams. You have like
star-studded team, yeah.
You've gotten all the pieces you need. Like this is your moment. If you do not quartier to this moment, it's a failure. It literally is.
If the Rams lose this game, then it's a massive failure, and that's why that's why the Bengals are underdogs, because that offensive line, like the Bengals are pretty good everywhere else, and I think they're underrated on defense, and they're great on offense. But that offensive line is just such a glaring weakness. It's that bad that it makes them underdogs throughout this playoff run for them, and it's made it that much more incredible that they've done it. And the Rams, that's a win now type of team, and they have that much talent. They've been going all in for the past few years with the way they've been trading, the way they've been aggressive in free agency and drafting, and then you don't win a Super Bowl. You know, Matt Stafford was your prize trade acquisition, and you couldn't do it. Now we're getting them in trouble for something they haven't done.
Yeah.
But that is something to monitor if they do lose. And it'll be one of the great upsets in Super Bowl history, probably. Obviously, number one being your Giants beating my Patriots.
I was going to say that. Never forget. But yeah.
I knew you were going to bring it up, so I figured I would bring it up
Might as well get it out the way. That Tyree helmet catch.
Yeah.
Oh, while we're talking about it, we could bring up the second time the Giants met up with the Patriots. We could also talk about Super Bowl 52, where Nick Foles made a deal with the devil.
Brady fumble.
And we don't need to bring that up. We just don't.
Oh, we don't need to bring that up. Okay.
We'll save your quote for now. That's okay.
We'll save them.
That's okay. But anyways, I just wanted to bring up the turnover battle real quick before we move on to our next segment. But, you know, Matthew Stafford does have a tendency to turn the ball over. In fact, he threw the most interceptions in the league last year in this past regular season with 17, which is incredible. And on the other side, now a lot of these were forced interceptions by Joe Burrow because he's under pressure half the time. He's the most sacked quarterback in the league. You know, that is going to be important. The turnover battle is, I don't think people bring enough attention to that, but whoever wins the turnover battle may very well win this game.
Yeah, I just need Matthew Stafford to, take care of that football. If he can take care of that football, they're winning that game. Anything else should be taken care of by the rest of the guys.
Regarding with taking with the football, we witnessed it in the Buccaneers game. Like the ball went over Matt Stafford's head.
See ya.
Cooper Kupp dropping the ball, then Stafford didn't have the ball in his hands at the moment, but Akers did drop that loose fumble. But at the same time, that is a thing to definitely watch out for. I definitely agree with Adam with that. And it's gonna come with the Rams offense. Like we know Cooper Kupp, he's a stud. After watching that game, that last game with him against the 49ers, I respect him even more. And the way he's been able to help that team more since Robert Woods has been out for the season, it's spectacular.
Absolutely. Do we want to give our predictions and score predictions, or do we want to save that for a possible Super Bowl special that we do later on down the road?
I don't really need to because you guys already know who I'm rooting for here.
Well, who you're rooting for, but who you're picking?
The same thing.
All right,
that's not changing.
I have the Rams as well. What about you, Justin? You have the Bengals?
I have the Bengals winning by a field goal.
By a field goal?
Because we've seen all these field goals this postseason winning. All
right. I have a comfortable margin for the Rams, but it won't be that comfortable. I'm sure it'll be somewhat close. But what do I know? I've been picking against them for God knows how long, for the past few weeks. But anyways, coming up, we're going to get into the head coaching positions that were just filled over this past week. We'll get into that. Don't go anywhere. This is the Fumblerooski podcast. All right. Welcome back. You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. I'm Adam Wright, Justin Tucker, Justin Hill, our new guy in today. And so all head coaching positions were filled before the postseason was even finished. So we'll go down the list. So the Vikings are going to hire Rams offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell. Dolphins are going to hire Mike McDaniel. Raiders are hiring Josh McDaniels. The Giants, Brian DeBall. Broncos hiring Nathaniel Hackett. Bears, Matt Eberflus. Jaguars are hiring Doug Peterson. And then, Texans have just recently hired Lovie Smith. So, guys, which of these head coach hirings are you most intrigued by?
Well, to be honest, when I look down the list and I see the new head coaching hires, the one I'm intrigued of the most is the Miami Dolphins one. I find that head coach to be rather interesting. I feel like he's the type of guy to play with Legos in his spare time. He just seems so nerdy and stuff. And so when I want to see how he calls plays, I want to see how he rallies the troops. I just want to see how he interacts with the players.
For me, I would have to say the Las Vegas Raiders one with Josh McDaniels. And why is because there's been so many rumors for years of Josh McDaniels getting a head coaching job, but he really stayed with the Patriots throughout these years because he was Tom Brady's offensive coordinator. But to see him get a job, it's really deserving. I think he'll really help out Derek Carr's quarterback skills and even more. At the same time, I was definitely impressed by the Houston Texans, Lovie Smith. Well, I think Lovie really deserved the job. Why? Because at the same time, he took the Chicago Bears to a Super Bowl, and I understand they wound up losing the game, but at the same time, he has a good resume. Coached high school, he coached in college regarding Illinois. And to see his time in the NFL and him to get another position and a chance again, I'm really impressed by that.
All right. So what I actually found the most intriguing was the Jaguars getting Doug Peterson a head coaching job back. Now, for those of you who a lot of you might remember from the very end of last season, Doug Peterson benched a lot of his starters at the end of the game. Probably wanted to rest them at the end of the game. It was the playoffs. They were out of the playoffs, but at that point. And I completely understand the argument on the other side saying, if they were going to rest him, why didn't they rest him for the whole game? These players want to play, and it takes the competitiveness out of it, even if they're out of the playoffs. But at the same time, he had the right idea at heart. He just didn't execute it very well. Now, I know Justin Tuck, you and I last year when this happened, you completely disagreed with me.
I still do.
You still do. So, Doug Peterson is still he is a Super Bowl winner, and he's a big part of them winning that Super Bowl. He was aggressive, and he did everything right during that Super Bowl run. The only problem is they just lost all the talent they had from that Super Bowl winning team. Their players, some of their talent aged, and that's kind of how it goes. They ran out of talent. And this is a young Jaguars team that's sort of up and coming. You have Trevor Lawrence, you have DJ Chark, which a lot of people forget. They have Travis Etienne, Marvin Jones. No, not Marvin Jones. I'm forgetting his name. Marvin Jones Jr. Is that his name?
I want to say
the Jaguars wide receiver. He's a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Westbrook? No.
It's
there is Westbrook. What is it? D.D. Westbrook? They have some pieces there,
but he's gone.
And that's a team that's up and coming. It's young, and for Doug Peterson to get his hands on that, I think he's the right fit. And I think people low-key overreacted to that whole situation at the end of the year. I really do. I'm sorry. That is not a fireable offense.
With
It
Doug,
is. It
with
is.
The season was over, Justin. They were out of the playoffs. He was trying to rest their starters. God forbid, Jalen Hurts gets hurt.
I'm not going to argue with this because this isn't the right place to do it. That is a fireable offense.
But Justin, forget about this though. As a Giants fan, he did cost my team a playoff chance though. Regarding with that whole situation that occurred, in my opinion, he should not even be the Jaguars' next coach. But we could talk about that another day.
All right, I don't think it was a fireable offense. I just don't. But anyways, we are going to move on to the Fumblerooski fan box. And we have our question about you guys' Super Bowl memories. So we'll have that coming up next. Don't go anywhere. This is the Fumblerooski podcast. You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88, and we are getting close to the end of our show, and you know what that means. That means we are on to the Fumblerooski fan box. So we post a question box every Monday, and you can respond with hot takes, questions, and more, and we will discuss it and give you a shout-out on our podcast. Respond to next week's fan box question to be featured on our show. So the question of the week was, what was your favorite Super Bowl memory? So I figured this would be good. I wanted to get everybody's favorite memories from this Super Bowl. So we're starting with CJ, who responded by saying 28-3. Now that's a number that everybody understands as soon as you say it, as far as football fans go. But 28-3, that was a pretty crazy game. The only reason I don't think that's my favorite memory is because we pretty much, for the most part, I mean, we held out some like a fool's hope that as Patriots fans, that they would come back, but it was like, it's 28-3, man, and it's practically the fourth quarter now. The game's over. But they just kept on going. But a lot of people were busy doing laundry by the third quarter because they're like, this game's over. Screw it. It's over. Let's do some laundry. Let's make my lunch for tomorrow for work tomorrow. Let's get to bed early for school tomorrow. People aren't thinking about that. That's why it's not my favorite, but that comeback is just unbelievable. And it's just mind-boggling that it happened. And it very nearly happened again a couple of weeks ago when the Rams had a 27-3 lead with the same quarterback in Tom Brady.
Unfortunately, it didn't happen.
It came close. That was it came down to 2 blown coverage plays.
All I'm hearing is excuses right now. That's all this has nothing to do with Super Bowl memories. All I'm hearing is excuses.
It's simple. Take away their best weapon and make them beat you with all the secondary pieces. Make them beat you with Odell Beckham. Put him in single coverage. Make them beat you with Cam Akers, Matthew Stafford. Make him beat you that way. Not with Cooper Kupp, because he's going to beat you. He's going to crucify you.
Let me play you a sad song on the world's tiniest violin, Adam. It's okay.
Shut up, Justin. Shut up. I'm just saying, take away those 2 big plays. That one right before the half and that one, that ended the game by Cooper Kupp. The Buccaneers win that game if those 2 plays don't happen. And, it takes a lot to screw that up. But anyways.
It's okay, Adam. It's okay. Next time I see you, I'll give you some tissues.
Okay. Nick Normand said Santonio Holmes' incredible toe tap was the first football game I remember. That was an incredible catch and one of the most iconic plays in Super Bowl history. And for that to be the first game he remembers, that's a pretty good first impression for the NFL. I will say that. That's pretty cool.
It's a pretty good catch. Unfortunately, it was a Steeler that caught it.
Oh, well, it happens. Justin Hill said Super Bowl 42, David Tyree catch and the Giants ending New England Patriots' perfect season.
Oh,
That's a pretty painful moment for me. It's pretty close to home as a Patriots fan. For a Giants fan, that's probably happy childhood moments for you, Justin.
Oh, no question.
You were like 6 years old or something like that?
Yeah, no question. Greatest moment ever.
God.
all time.
Yeah,
Undefeated
screw you.
season in Arizona, and an away team, a wild card team, and to do that gets better.
Oh, yeah. It must be really nice. It must be nice. That's
19
that's really good for you, Giants fan.
But at the end of the day,
Stupid
Brady's the
Eli
greatest
Manning.
quarterback. But at the end of the day, Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time, and he had one of the
That's
greatest
what-
seasons that year, no question.
That's what I like to hear. All right. Robert Shelley said James Harrison. That's all I got to say. So we touched on this same Super Bowl a couple seconds ago with Nick Norman's favorite memory with the toe tap. But earlier on, James Harrison's pick 6
Yep.
for the Steelers.
100 yards.
Longest interception return in Super Bowl history. And is that also the longest return in the history of the league?
No.
Is it?
No.
Okay, so it's just Super Bowl history, but still incredible. From one side to another for a pass rusher, he's a big fella, and he returned it that far. That is impressive, I will say.
That's pretty solid.
That's pretty impressive.
It was a good play.
All right, guys. Any other thoughts before we end the show here?
Nah. Go Rams. Screw the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's go.
Okay, Ravens fan.
Go
You know,
back.
you're
Proud of it.
I am this close to picking the Bengals, young man.
That's fine by me. That is fine by me. I don't care who you pick. I know who my team is. I know who I'm
All right.
picking.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. Be sure to tune in to us live Tuesdays at 7:30 on Twitter and Facebook through Fans Only Sports Network. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Over and out.